Hi, Nick. Good to see you again. I know you've got some new seat projections, but I want to start off with your top line numbers because I took note of them this morning. Is that the tightest it's been?
It's the tightest that it's been, Vashi, since the beginning of the election. 44-39 between the Liberals and the Conservatives, and the NDP distant 7-8%. So, yep.
And what do you attribute to the movement? Because it feels like it's at least corresponding to some of the platform stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. What's interesting, Vashi, is when you look at the night-by-night trend line, the Conservatives picked up a percentage point every night for the last 3 nights. It's helped them close the gap. The big news in the last couple of days has actually been the Conservative fully costed platform. So I think the reality is that for those voters that are interested in policy and the platform, that there's been a little bit of resonance. The big question is this enough, and is it too late, or will it still continue for the Conservatives in terms of this upward tick? But, you know, the thing is, at 39%, that's still an excellent score for the Conservatives. Usually would win a majority for them, but not in this environment.
Well, let's talk about that, because in 2011 it was enough. It's not, as you point out, in this environment. What does the efficiency of the vote for each of the parties mean? Like, where are your seat projections at this point?
Well, you know, the thing is that the seat projections right now suggest that the Liberals will probably win the election if the election were held today, but that can change. And there's even a possibility for a majority government. A lot of this has to do with the fact that the Conservative vote is inefficient. They've got a massive advantage in the prairie provinces. And, you know, we have to remember, Vashi, in the last 2 elections, the Conservatives actually garnered more votes than the Liberals. Andrew Scheer and Erin O'Toole got more votes than Justin Trudeau, but the distribution of support of that Conservative voting actually did not convert well into seats, and that's what Pierre Poilievre is slamming up against now. It's not enough for him to close the gap. It's not enough for him to be tied. He actually has to be ahead of the Liberals, noticeably, probably by 2 or 3 percentage points, in order to win the election.
What about more specifically what's going on in Ontario? Because there's all this conversation about what might happen to his seat based on the more provincial numbers. I'll get into that in a second with you, but what do your numbers show for Ontario?
In Ontario, we have the Liberals at around 48%, followed by the Conservatives at 40%. And, you know, the NDP not really being a big factor. And, you know, in this particular scenario, it really favors the Liberals, especially in the Mississauga-Brampton area, where, you know, the thing is those are crucial ridings that usually, they're bellwether ridings, Vashi. Usually they swing with whoever the winner is, and right now they're tilting towards the Liberals.
What about BC, where there's been some speculation it could be more competitive, let's say, than it was 2 weeks ago? Are you seeing any evidence of that?
Well, it is more competitive when it comes to popular support, because it's basically a statistical dead heat between the Liberals and the Conservatives. The kicker here right now in British Columbia is that Liberal support is up in the double digits and NDP support is down in the double digits. Conservative support is relatively flat. So when we look at kind of how everything pans out from a seat projection perspective, the Conservatives are poised to hold on to what they have, but it could be a significant setback for the New Democrats in British Columbia on election night if this trend holds up, with the Liberals being the primary beneficiary.
Yeah, they're certainly focused on those incumbent ridings. If I could very quickly go through some of the leaders and their own seat projections, because that focus right now is on the reports around Poilievre's riding. Do you have him winning it at this point?
Yes, at least the way we crunch the numbers, our seat projections suggest that Pierre Poilievre will hold on. It might not be as big a win as he's had in the past, but that he's poised to hold on to his riding.
And Mr. Carney in Nepean?
Yeah, he would also be, I guess we'll call it a hold. He would win in his riding of Nepean. We
were just talking about the results in BC. Jagmeet Singh holds a riding there. What about him?
Yeah, much more at risk. You know, the Liberals mounting a major challenge, and right now we have the Liberals ahead. It'll be interesting to see what type of organization Jagmeet Singh has on the ground, because he's going to need to have a really strong organization on the ground in order to hold on to his riding.
And in Quebec, the Bloc leader, Yves-François Blanchet?
Yes, he should be able to hold on, but he won't be winning by as large a margin as he has in the past. You know, the thing about the Bloc is many times they don't have a strong organization. It's a lot of motivation, but not necessarily organization. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in his riding.
And finally, Elizabeth May out in BC as well.
Yeah, we have Elizabeth May as a tight race, almost too close to call, but that she's ahead. So she might be in a squeaker on election night. You know, Vancouver Island is really strong for the Liberals right now. They're mounting major challenges right across the island, including those NDP seats and Elizabeth May's seat.
Okay, Nick, I'll leave it there. Appreciate the perspective as always. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.